be overly dramatic, but I saw Penelope topless and was like, Bridgerton smashed TV norms by showing a chubby woman in a steamy scene. Doesn't sound like much, but it is groundbreaking on screen, and it can be in real life. Because as someone who for years felt like the fat friend and struggled with body image, I wasn't prepared for Chubby being shown as damn hot. To be clear, when I say chubby, I don't mean to offend anyone. I just feel like it's the least rude way to describe someone who isn't slim. So just to recap, in case you're living under a rock, in the third season of Bridgerton, Penelope Featherington, the wallflower, famously has her swan moment, and finally her crush Colin Bridgerton sees her as more than just a friend. This friends to lovers storyline isn't new at all, just like the makeover trope. We've seen it 1,000 times. The cool guy overlooks the ugly duckling until she changes everything about herself, or just loses her glasses. And surprise, surprise, she's gorgeous.
I did it, I'm a miracle worker.
But it is different in this case and goes beyond cliche and looks. Even though it starts pretty much the same, as Penelope was never ugly. She just had horrible style. All it took was a decent dress and hair like Jessica Rabbit. And no, it's not historically accurate, but I mean, in this world, women in the 19th century shave their legs and are perfectly happy with having nothing to do except scoring a rich husband. At least for the most part. So why is there more to Penelope's story? It's about representation. She didn't lose a single pound in her makeover. She didn't change anything about herself, but works with what she has. And it's mirrored in the real world. Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, had been turning heads off screen as well, thanks to her red carpet looks, showing that you can be drop-dead gorgeous at any size. It's not about fitting into clothes, but clothes fitting you. And that's a game changer. Far too long did designers make clothes for a certain body type, and if you didn't fit into that mold, that's just too bad. Nicola, on the other hand, wears clothes that were made for her body, and that's why it looks so good. She didn't squeeze herself into something too tight or hide in a huge tent.
They only give us these to hide our stomachs. Don't look down here.
Sure, she's an actress with access to designers. But not too long ago, there were celebrities who had to fight for someone to dress them for an award show they were nominated in, just because they didn't fit into the sample sizes. And if you see someone who looks like you, or you feel you look like them, and this person is celebrated and even desired, that's pretty amazing. Speaking of desire, the main reason why this season was eye-opening to me weren't the clothes, but lack thereof. So far, women and men in romantic movies looked just about perfect, especially when getting down and dirty on screen. If not, it was considered a joke and played for laughs, but not in Bridgerton.
The firmness of your lips parted just so, the softness of your skin. And then there are other parts I've been dreaming about.
I burn for you, Colin. I actually do.
And not to be overly dramatic, but I saw Penelope topless and was like... It wasn't just about Penelope feeling good about herself, but Colin genuinely desiring her, and not in spite of her body, but because of it. Of course, everyone's entitled to have their preferences, and some might think it's just a TV show, what's the big deal? But it matters. We're so used to think sexy and beautiful means tall and slim. At least I am. As if someone who is not is automatically some horrendous creature like Jabba the Hutt. But for years I thought that bellies had to be flat, boobs had to be perfectly round, and God forbid they're sagging. It was messed up. I mean, I thought Kate Winslet was fat.
I was told by a drama teacher that I might do okay if I was happy to settle for the fat girl parts. Look at me now.
And I'm not saying that it's all society's fault, but in a way I was brainwashed. I mean, I was told Jessica was fat, Britney was fat, Tyra was fat, and therefore I was too. It messed with my head, and I wasn't the only one.
Don't you think you should lose a few pounds?
What?
No, I'm just saying.
You sound nice but look like a shop girl.
I'm overweight,
You
basically.
are. You really are.
I'm working on it.
On TV, you are a little fuller, a little bit more thicker. How do you feel about the fact that maybe the thickness may hinder you from, getting certain parts?
The stomach is exposed to the highest extent. It's bloated and it doesn't look good at all.
It's kind of sad that it took so long for things starting to change, if they change, that is. Because this toxic body image that we bought into digs in deep. and it doesn't let go easily. Bridgerton isn't the first TV series that shows a relationship and a steamy scene with a, for lack of a better word, larger woman. A few years ago, Gabourey Sidibe was in a not as explicit but similar scene in Empire, but the reactions were horrible. People said she was too large for this scene, as if you've had to be a certain size. She hit back saying, "I had the most fun ever filming that scene, even though I was nervous, but I felt sexy and beautiful, and I felt like I was doing a good job. I'm not sure how anyone could hate on love, but that's okay. I don't think it's okay. I think it's weird that something as normal as two people making love makes others mad, or is even seen as groundbreaking because it's not a traditional pairing."
I've gained like 10 pounds. I mean, I've got this right here in my tummy.
Come up and talk. Let me ask you a question. In all the years you've ever undressed in front of a gentleman, has he ever asked you to leave? Has he ever walked out, left? No. Because he doesn't care. He's in a room with a naked girl. He's won the lottery.
The reality is that it happens every day that the handsome bachelor falls for the fat girl. And why shouldn't he? We're just not used to seeing it on TV. So it's even more important to show it. Maybe that's why Nicola Coughlan apparently requested to show a lot of skin as a FU to all the discussions about her body. But speaking of, discussions can be problematic even if they're meant to be supportive. Like in an interview, Nicola was praised as being brave for showing herself like that. And I don't think that this person meant any harm, but it sounded awfully patronizing. And it again shifted the focus on weight. Now, Nicola, glorious as she is, had the perfect response.
You know, it is hard because I think women with my body type, women with perfect breasts, don't.
Still, it takes a lot of guts to show yourself butt naked to the world, perfect breasts or not, knowing fully well that there are a lot of dickheads out there who feel the need to comment about your body and your health. Now, to be fair, there is a thing where body positivity can turn into glorifying obesity, which doesn't apply to Nicola. She isn't obese. But let me say this. I don't think it's a good thing to deny that at a certain weight there can be health issues. Obesity isn't healthy. That doesn't mean that I'm running around shaming other people. It's their body and their health, and they're free to do whatever they please. And they're free to have sex with whomever gives their consent. So what does this Bridgerton season mean for body image in TV? Or as Forbes magazine asked, are we still not ready for a mixed weight romance? With this title, they kind of shot themselves into the foot. Because mixed weight romance sounds just as silly as it is. One person even commented on Instagram, "This isn't a bloody boxing match." And also, by asking if we are not ready for a mixed weight romance, a lot of people pointed out, what about all the TV couples where the man was the one who weighted more? That's been around for a long time. But then again, I think we have to acknowledge, while this has very much so a misogynistic touch, these men weren't meant to be a romantic or even sexy partner. They were just funny, which is a desirable trait, but in this case, it was just rude and shallow as well. And by the way, it's worth noticing that when it comes to body positivity, women are much more represented. Like, I have never seen a male plus-size model in mainstream media. So I'm not saying that Bridgerton has solved all our body image issues, but it's a step in the right direction. Because while I've always known that representation is important, I've never truly felt it myself up until now. And it felt pretty damn powerful. So the more we see different body types being portrayed as sexy and desirable on screen, the more we might believe it ourselves that yes, chubby women and men can be hot and have sex.